Hello and welcome to the Earth Trust podcast. My name is Verity, Head of Communications at Earth Trust. This autumn we're celebrating the return of the Earth Trust Pumpkin Patch. With the help of our volunteers, we've been busy growing a wide range of squash and pumpkins of every size, shape and colour, beautiful to look at and incredibly delicious. Picking your own pumpkin is a great way to connect with farming, food and nature. The event's part of our special Thank the Earth season, reminding us all to value the earth beneath our feet and everything that it provides.
So my name is Amy and I am the Public Programming Manager at Earth Trust.
So this is the second time that we've run our pumpkin patch event, isn't it?
It is, yes.
How's it going?
It's going great and we really can't wait to welcome people onto the site over the October half term. So this year, what you'll see, we've still got plenty of pumpkins. We've got lots of variety of squashes. We've got a brilliant sweet corn maze. We've still got 5 little pigs on site with us as well. And actually, they're hoping to use sweet corn in part of their recipes as well. So another way of
using the produce,
exactly. So I think, of course, we want people to have fun and a great day outdoors with us. But the message that we really want to get across is about valuing the earth and the food and other things that it gives us.
This felt like the perfect time to revisit my conversation last year with Ian Nutt, our then Director of Programmes and Partnership. Why do you think that thinking about soil is so important, and why are we at Earth Trust talking about it now?
Soil, it's one of those funny things, because it's under our feet and because we kind of walk on it or drive past it or go past it without really understanding it. But of course, it makes up such a fundamental part of everything, all life on Earth. The really fascinating bit about it is that the really productive bit of the soil is only what is known as the topsoil. So it's the first kind of 6 inches of soil that's underneath the ground. That is the bit that's really productive in terms of offering us our food. But it is so chock-a-block full of life, not just biodiversity in the sense that we think of life, but also all of the gases that are so important, that make things grow, that are good for our environment, good for sequestering carbon and all that sort of thing that we hear about a lot, but also things like water retention. So it cannot be underestimated how important soil is. And without all of those nutrients and all of the gases and the water retained within the soil and the structure of it being right, it's not capable of growing any of our food that we so desperately need. Over an actually relatively short period of time, that intensive farming practice has really stripped the soil back and stripped back our natural resources to a point whereby we are now limited on how much longer the earth can produce food for, without us really taking radical steps to put the goodness back into the earth. But the other fundamental problem is food production is inextricably linked to food consumption. So how we eat food and what choices we make and how we treat food, and that westernized way of treating food as a commodity that you can just throw away or just disregard and have no value in, and the markets make it incredibly cheap and undervalue what it costs and what it takes to create and make food, has driven that ability, that demand to then produce more of it quicker, faster, cheaper. And that is where the food system has become broken in Western society.
What can people at home do to support some of these larger scale changes?
The first one is never throw food away in particular. Yeah. But the amount of food waste is phenomenal still in the UK. It's huge. And there's something that has to fundamentally change. I know there's been a lot of coverage lately about wonky veg and all the rest of it. But in some ways that's doing veg a disservice. It's not wonky. The thing that's wrong with the food production side of things is that actually quite a lot of it has been engineered, selected, grown specifically to not be wonky.
Yeah.
Wonky is actually natural.
Yeah.
That's the natural state of things.
Comedy carrots
Comedy carrots
are a natural carrot.
I mean, who doesn't love a comedy carrot? And that's the best thing. You know, eating seasonally is quite possibly one of the most useful rules of thumb that anyone can apply to eating, that helps reduce those negative impacts. If you eat seasonally when food is in season, then you're getting around all kinds of different issues and problems with regards to food waste. Buying on a weekly basis, food should last if it's in season. You shouldn't end up throwing it away, because when it's at its best, it will last, it will keep. But also then, for us here at Earth Trust, our pumpkin event that's coming up is a prime example of that. What we're doing is we're really raising the profile of seasonal food production and the varieties. So we made a really conscious decision not just to go with pumpkins. We are showing the real biodiversity of squashes that you can produce naturally and what they do for your food, for your plate. As I've mentioned it already, diversity of food, going out there and trying new stuff that will come with seasonality. There'll be all kinds of different things out there that we don't eat on a day-to-day basis, but are really affordable and really good to use, good to put into our diets. And from the soil side of things, I think really thinking about if you're making choices around what you want to eat, eating out and all the rest of it, is looking for some kind of labelling, some kind of accreditation, some kind of traceability that means that you know what it is, what those production systems are for producing that food. They at least then do give you some knowledge that you're buying into sustainable farming systems.
One of the key messages of our pumpkin patch event is to think carefully about how we're valuing the produce that we buy. But it's estimated that over half of all the pumpkins that would be purchased across the UK this October will end up thrown in the bin. So as well as us encouraging people to cook, carve and compost their pumpkins, we're working in partnership with other organisations to ensure that no produce from our pumpkin patch goes to waste. Over to Amy.
But we're also working alongside Good Food Oxfordshire to make sure that there aren't any leftover produce. So what Good Food Oxfordshire do is that they have got lots of community groups that they get in. So we've got Trowel Collective coming in, and they are going to come onto our site and glean sweet corn that we've got. And once they've done that, then they're going to distribute it out to food banks and community kitchens and everything else in between.
So there's actually a really great opportunity to know that the food we're growing on site, as well as people being able to use it if there are things left over at the end,
yes,
they'll be going to a really good use.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Exactly.
Our pumpkin patch opens to the public over half term, but our education team have already been using the patch as an opportunity to explore and learn about how nature and food and biodiversity are all connected with each other.
Yeah, we are. So we've done some things with preschoolers. So we've had a Little Acorns Day where they went down to the pumpkin patch and they got to go through a bit of the maze, which is just being created at this point. And they collected a few pumpkins, which were the heavier the better for the little ones.
You didn't lose anyone in the maze.
Didn't lose anyone. We've got one of our Brickability funded schools coming next week. So this is a project that we're running with schools in Reading. And this session that they're going to be doing is called Feed the World. And it's all about land use and food production and how we can grow food alongside nature. So one of the activities we're going to be doing in the pumpkin patch is we're going to be collecting the different varieties of pumpkins.
Yeah.
And we're going to be weighing them and measuring them. And then from that, we're going to work out how dense they are, right?
Brilliant.
So let's say the bigger varieties, like your Halloween carvers, they're going to be not as dense as some of the culinary varieties, right?
Yeah.
And then we'll have lots of discussions around, right, if we want to use a space like this to grow food, we want to grow the most nutrient dense food.
Yeah, yeah.
And we'll talk about how would you most efficiently use a limited space to grow food. On the Tuesday after the festival, we've got a group of 90 coming.
Oh, wow.
These are reception age kids.
Yeah.
But we're going to go down to the pumpkin patch for that session and see what's left.
Yeah. See how many you can lose in the maze.
Yeah, go in the maze, collect pumpkins, play with the pumpkins, take them home back to school, And then we'll do any that are left after the gleaners have been in and we've finished with everything in a month's time. Then we'll start to think about how we can use those for wildlife. So we've already started collecting sweet corn that's went a bit over.
Yeah.
And if you peel back the husk, then you can hang them up and dry them. And then that's good food for the birds over the winter. So you've got this dried corn and also the pumpkin seeds as well.
And then we've also got our lovely education garden, kitchen garden. So will we be using if there's any for compost?
Yeah, definitely all the husks and any pumpkins that get damaged or are no good or left over at the end, that can all get composted. Yeah.
Fantastic. Thanks so much.
You're welcome.
What I've enjoyed most is us all getting together collectively at Earth Trust and being all being part of a really big team to see something like this happen.
You've been listening to the Earth Trust podcast. For more information about our pumpkin patch event or any other of the work at Earth Trust, please visit our website www.earthtrust.org.uk.